Well, there's a link between historic redlining and heart health in black communities. And according to a newly released study, experts say redlining has roots in racism.
And the impact is still obvious in many communities. News 8's multicultural reporter Katira Winfrey joining us with this story. Katira, I'm so happy you're doing this story because this is a big deal.
It is a big deal, and mental health experts say the impact of systemic racism creates stressors, and that stress can often trickle down to generation, showing up as health problems. It impacts various communities, but according to the study, black people feel it the most.
America in the 1930s, redlining, the practice of keeping black people out of certain communities, reached its height. George Middleton is a mental health therapist who specializes in addressing race ideology and racism from a mental health perspective.
Redlining is a huge disparity, and many people think redlining does not exist today.
He says stress stemming from the historical impacts of racism often manifests in modern-day generations.
Oppressor-oppressed relationship, but it's not on a conscious basis. But because people think a certain way about a black area versus a white area, then they behave accordingly.
A study conducted by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States surveyed nearly 5,000 people around the country they labeled as middle age. Their hope, find out how structural racism leads to cardiovascular disease and risks in black, Hispanic, and Chinese communities versus white communities.
There's a direct correlation between skin tone and the amount of income and access to opportunity.
The findings suggest black people living in some redlined or declining communities fared the worst in areas of blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, obesity. Pulling from theoretical evidence, the study says redlining's impact can become embedded physiologically, harming metabolism and cardiovascular systems.
If you want to address racial disparities, you have to start first from your level of thinking.
And a similar study by the National Community Reinvestment Coalition released some suggestions to counter the impacts of redlining. One of them suggests providing affordable housing outside of historic redlined zones. Reporting in the studio, I'm with TV News 8's multicultural reporter Katira Winfrey.